27-yard line following the penalty. Pass is caught by Bryant. He's inside the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown.
The Raiders just traded one of their third-round picks for Martavis Bryant, the troubled wide receiver from Pittsburgh. He's been suspended before, violating the league's substance abuse policy. He's a little bit of a prima donna in some ways, as Deion Peon Sanders pointed out, referring to him as part of the wardrobe, not the suit. He's the tie, in his way of speaking. But it looks like the Raiders are wheeling and dealing. And if I was a wide receiver on the Raiders right now, not named Amari Cooper or I can't even remember his name. Or Jordy Nelson, I would be worried. If I was Roberts, I would be worried. This guy has not been brought in just to be a fourth tier wide receiver. He's been brought in for a reason. They don't give up a third-round pick for him. I really thought they were going to use that for a punter. I can't remember the guy's name. The Aussie guy, possibly. There was some speculation about him, that he might only be the only punter drafted. And he's pretty tricky or whatever. His punting. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's pretty tricky. He did the Australian rules football, which is much different. And what punter? Imagine a punter who has a background in tackling. He's and he can kick all sorts of funny ways. He's also a very strong kicker. You don't base your whole team around a kicker, but it's nice to know when your kicker can actually lay some lumber on someone. He's not afraid to either. So that was my thinking. I thought the third-round pick picked up the extra third-round pick was going to be to select a punter. He might be gone by the 5th round. If you're thinking about like past Gruden drafts with Shane Leckler. So they brought in this guy. He's a big, tall wide receiver. He's almost 6'5", very rangy. And this is part of the Raiders draft. He is the Raiders' 3rd-round pick. Raiders no longer have one of their 3rd-round picks. This is their 3rd-round pick. With experience. Sometimes you have to trade these draft picks, like I said. For certain positions. You're thinking about like left tackle, with a selected left tackle overall. He's unproven in the NFL. And he doesn't have a lot of experience in the college ranks. So I don't think that is a total closed book right there. But because they traded down for this guy, they got Martavis Bryant, who might be able to help the Raiders a lot. Remains to be seen, but Pittsburgh, if you look at Pittsburgh, the type of offense they run, and I'm no offensive expert. You look at like some of the other, players they brought in, the type of offenses they run. It's a lot of running, a lot of play action passes, and some shots, these wide receivers. And that's how the Raiders are going to be set up. I mean, I'm just talking layperson terms, and that's how I understand it, and I think that's how a lot of Raider fans and football fans understand it. that the Raiders are going to go back to traditional Raider football, which was running the ball. It's going to be Marshawn hitting it hard. Some offensive linemen are going to be hitting it hard. And sometimes bringing in an extra offensive lineman. I think that's what I said in the last video. Giacomini or whatever his name is. He's an ideal candidate for an extra offensive lineman. Nasty, big, and I would be worried if I was Roberts. This guy was just brought in. I don't know exactly how salaries work with him. I do not know his salary coming into the Raiders. But he's going to be brought in. Probably can't cost too much, but he's brought in. And Roberts has got to see the writing on the wall. I mean, does he have the proper attitude to be on a John Gruden team? That's the real question. We know Nelson and Cooper are going to be the number 1 and 2 wide receivers. Unless Cooper can't even play. I mean, sometimes he gets injured, But chances are Gruden's going to, set him up good. Some play action passes where they're going to have max protection. And Cooper's going to have some, coasting touchdowns, Once you get him out in space, let him do his thing. Yeah. It's coming. Trust me. I'm sick of all this, him going over the middle. Just all these little, we want to see him down the field, max protection, and Derek Carr hanging in there and making the big play. That's what we want. But Martavis Bryant was obviously brought in as, maybe even some insurance. Because he is, he's still a young player. He's only been in the league, I think it's at maybe 3-4 years, maybe. So he could be someone waiting in the wings. He might have some maturity problems. But then again, Gruden had Keyshawn Johnson, and he did okay with him. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with Martavis Bryant. But the Raiders have traded one of the third-round picks for Martavis Bryant, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver.